All right. I should probably pull up Discord because that might help. What the heck? Okay. I've got a bunch of videos that I need to take care of, or a bunch of VODs. Yo, what's up, Sig Enderman? Sunday night stream. You know what this means. 3 hours of sleep. Oh no. Please get more than just 3. Okay. Remove the embed. I don't like that Discord adds the embed for my Twitch notification. I don't like it taking up so much space. Okay. So I have not made any progress since last time. Where is it? Should I post my stream link in the main Will You Snail Discord? Dude, where's that channel? What the heck? Oh, there it is. Okay. Sure. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna put that there. Get rid of the embed because that's, I don't like that. Where are we going? Sneedia, also known as Snail Media. It's really Snail, so it's fine with the ad rules. What are the ad rules? Do I? Okay. Yo, watch streak 5. Sweet. The rules about ads. Oh, I see. You can drop it in Snail Media. Yeah. Right underneath RGC's stream link. Yeah, when I was doing some other snailing stuff, I used to post it there. I just didn't know if modding was okay, but like, I don't know. RGC got explicit permission to do what he's doing, which kind of makes me nervous that that like I should also probably have that permission, but you know, it's fine. It's probably fine, right? Surely I wouldn't get in trouble. I don't think. I just gave you that permission. You know what? Fair enough. If I somehow get in trouble for this, I am blaming you. Oh, that sounds bad. Okay. Where we left off, I'm going to need... Where's the draw? I am blind. There's the draw. This is the wrong thing. I actually need the customization. Custom. I need the draw for the racing customization. There we go. So, just as a recap, let me show the menu that we came up with last time. I would be the one that would decide on getting you in trouble. What, like in terms of advertising my stream, or in terms of showing the decompilation of Will You Snail? Because that's kind of the part that I'm worried about. Not the advertising. The advertising part is fine. I've done that before. But this is where we left off. So the leaderboard column and the other players column, I think I got all that laid out. And then we also have this preview over here. We could make this preview like absolutely ginormous if we wanted to. We could make it take up half the screen. That'd be kind of funny. Although, how big does the leaderboard get? I think the leaderboard... Oh, that's right. We got to update the hitboxes. Okay, we're going to do that first. We're going to figure out how to update the hitboxes of all of the sliders. What? Is it not in... Oh, user event 0. Okay, yeah, it's here. There we go. So yeah, the buttons that are in the menu aren't actually like buttons. They're just a rectangle that I'm rendering to the screen, and then I'm manually checking the location of the mouse. So we got to update all of this stuff to make sure that it's in the correct spot. So yeah, so these are all the buttons for changing the color. This is the button for changing your name, and then all of this is what we have to do right now. So this is like the hitboxes for the sliders and stuff. Yo, what's up, Glitch? I hear there's a stream happening on the Stone 5555 channel. Is there? Wait, let me check. I think I'm following them. Yeah, okay, it looks like they're live. Yeah, it looks like there is a stream happening. Yeah, it looks like there is a stream. There you go. Okay, so we first check the mouse X and, well, just the X, I suppose. We check to see if it's greater than or equal to 30. Why that number? Why did I pick that number? Let me go into the difference here. Why did I pick 30? Because it was previously one... No, where the slider... Yeah, the middle of it was at 120. Is that right? Or was that the... Yeah, that's the middle of it. Oh, and then it was 70 on either side. So the middle of the slider was at 120 on the X. And then the left half of it, because it was 140 total, so it would have been 70 on one half. But 120 minus 70 is 50. And then what I did was I added a little bit of extra room on either side. So that's where I got the 30 from. So, where is it at now? 160. Okay, so 160 with a width of 250 total? Is that right? 250 on 2 is 70, not 75, 125. Ooh. 160 minus 125 is something, 35, not 35, 45. Wait, 125? I'm losing my mind. It is 35. I was right the first time. Okay, so there's 35 pixels. There's 35 pixels between the left edge of the slider and the left side of the screen. If the game opens up here. Please, eventually. Maybe we can rate them when the stream ends. That'd be funny if you could do that. You lost your watch stream? Your watch streak? What happened? Weren't you here last time? But yeah, so the center of the slider is at 160. It's 250 pixels total in width, which means that this left half, is 125 pixels. So if the center of it is 160 and this size is 125, that means there's 35 pixels in between the left edge of the screen and the left side of this. So then the question is, how far over do I want to make the hitbox? Because I intentionally made the hitbox wider than the actual slider itself, because if you move your mouse fast enough, then you can like get it to move beyond the hitbox of the slider. So you want to extend the hitbox a little bit on either side so that you can actually like get the absolute minimum and absolute maximum values. Did RGC pass you the decomp like a shady drug dealer? So when I was doing the trying to figure out what was it called? The quantum power bug. When I was trying to figure that out, yes, RGC did pass me some code. I don't know where that code was obtained, and I can not confirm or deny that it was from an official Will You Snail release. I don't know where that code was obtained. But yeah, I did get sent that. But no, now I just use the Undertale mod tool, because I didn't have this before when I was initially debugging the quantum power issue. I didn't have UMT, but now I do, so I just use that. But okay, so we've got 35 pixels to work with. I previously put 20 pixels on either side as an extra sort of buffer. So that would make this, what, 15? Very close to the edge of the screen, but maybe that's okay. And then on the other side, we have 160 plus 125, which is 285. So this would go to 285 plus 20. So 305? 305? Did I do that right? Yeah, 160 plus 125 is 185. Or 285. And then we add an additional 20. Okay, so that should be right. So that's the X value. Let's do the X value of the other column, just to get that out of the way. So this is at 480. So what's 480 minus 125? I don't care to do math in my head right now. 355. So 355, and then we want to subtract another 20 from that. So 335 should be this number. 335. That sounds about right, because that's 30 pixels. Maybe that's right. Yeah, because this side is 15 pixels, so in between these ones, it makes sense to be 30. Twice as much, right? Because it's like not from the edge of the screen, it's between two of them. Okay, so then 480 instead, we add 125 and we add 20 to get 625. So this is going to be 625. Okay. And that's basically the left side and the far left side and far right side of the hitbox for each of the sliders. Now we just got to figure out the Y value. The Y value range that we want. So it's at 210. So this first one is at 210. How many pixels of give did I give it before? Actually, what's in this create? Yeah, here we go. So how tall is it? It's 8 pixels, right? This is -4 +4. But that's for the actual bar itself. It's 30 pixels. -15 +15 for the actual knob. So let's do that. Let's do 30 and see if that feels good. So then it should be 210. 210. This is greater than, so this should be -15. 210 +15. That's not how you type any of that. Okay. And then I gotta modify how I'm calculating the actual value here. This part of modding is like CSS when making a website. Yeah. I mean, we are dealing with UI, so it's just UI in general is such a pain. It's such a pain. Especially when I'm like trying to hack it together instead of making like actual proper UI objects. Why did I do it like this? What? How does this make any sense? Because there was 50 pixels in between the left side of the screen and the left side of the slider. So this should be 35 and then 250 for the whole width, I think. I don't know, let's see. So that should be the leaderboard background alpha, which may or may not be easy to tell. But let's see if that hitbox works. If it works, it works. Embrace the jank. Exactly. Okay, I need exploration mode. What's a level that has a relatively bright background? Does such a level exist? Surely one of the disco levels has a bright background, right? Okay, this might be okay. So if I scale it up, oh, that's right, the hitbox is not accurate. Okay, if I scale it up, so you might be able to see the background opacity. Okay, that hitbox looks pretty good, and it seems like the value is getting calculated properly. Okay. Should I make the hitbox a little bit taller, maybe? Because if you're like up here, it doesn't work. So you have to be like technically on the knob itself. Yes, okay. So I can probably just double the height of the hitbox, honestly. Which I think is currently 30. So if we double it, we just add another 15. So this is gonna be -15 plus another 15. Yes. And then we just have to do that for every single other slider. I don't have a texture. I meant to do that, but I do not have a texture for the color picker yet. Okay. Steam, go away. Steam, go away. Thank you. Okay, so now if I'm like all the way up here, it's still... So like if I'm on the text, it doesn't work. But if I'm like a little bit above the knob, it's still fine. I think that's fine. Would changing the pre-selected colors to custom colors require a server update? No. Yo, what's up, RGC? How's it going? It's fine. How long could it possibly take to get one? I like the abbreviated RGC to just GC. No, the only reason I would ever need to change the server is if the layout of the packet changes. So like if I wanted to send additional information or less information, then I would have to update the server. Otherwise, I don't have to update the server at all. So like all the changes that I've made since a while ago, honestly, have not needed a server update. Like hats, potentially. We'll get there eventually. We may or may not be able to hack something together there. Okay, so I need to change all these as well. So this is going to be 35 now. This is 35. This is 250. Just to give some context as to what we're doing here, I did not save the MS Paint drawing that I did. Right, all these Y values are going to have to change. But I am changing the menu that I was using for... Okay, well, 330 minus 30. I should have probably just done that by hand, but whatever. I am changing the layout of the customization menu. But the reason I say we might be able to hack something together is because currently I have to send a byte in the packet that represents what direction the player is facing, right? In order to be able to accurately draw that. So because the player can only ever face left or right, that can actually be reduced to a single bit. We don't actually need like a positive integer and a negative integer to represent which way it's facing. We can just do that with a single bit. But I still have to reserve an entire byte to send it, which means we've got seven bits that are still being completely unused, but are still being sent in the packet. Now, currently that's actually at 6, because when I implemented the cross-version compatibility, I reserved one of those bits for indicating which version of the game, or which version of the game the mod is running on. Speedrunner version versus modern version, basically. Okay, so now this text bar, or this slider should be, yeah, there we go. That hitbox is accurate now. So we currently only have 6 bits that are unused. Now, I do have an idea for using those 6 bits for potentially implementing like the de-jitter thing. Because like I said before, there's issues with a little bit of jitter, which I think is because packets are being processed out of order. So that's one of the things if you use UDP, is that packets do not have a guaranteed order in which they are received. So it could be the case that, you know, one packet gets sent, it's a little bit slow, and then the next packet gets received before the first packet actually gets processed, which would cause the other players to look like they teleported backwards and then, you know, came back. So I'm considering using some of the bits to resolve that issue, but that's going to require some testing to verify that that problem is actually occurring, because it could be the case that it's not actually happening and there's some other issue going on. But we will find out as soon as we fix up this menu here. Still a lot of data left? Yeah. Would the use of TCP be way worse? I mean, it would just be slower. It is the thing. TCP is more reliable, but it's slower. Okay. Steam, go away. Actually, I can test this without worrying about it. That looks like it's working. Hitbox seems fine. No, I will not dance. Not for you, not for anyone. Okay, so I can actually just reuse these numbers, right? Because the Y values of each of these are the same. That's not a Y value. $240, $300, $360. Right, because these are like directly across from each other. Did I do that right? I think yeah, I did it right. Okay. And then I just got to figure out like this stuff. So this is always going to be 250 because the sliders are 250 pixels wide. But yeah, if we really need to, I'm not opposed to adding like another byte or potentially two. But we'll see. Minecraft uses TCP and latency is fine. I'm no programmer though, so I don't know. I mean, yeah, it doesn't really matter. Especially when this mod is like just kind of a for fun thing. But that's typically the trade-off, is that UDP is faster but less reliable. Excuse me. Plus the way that Minecraft works is a little bit different. The server does a lot of calculations. Whereas in this mod, each game is still its own instance. Right? Because like in Minecraft you can get ghost blocking, where like you break a block and then it doesn't actually like look like the block is broken, or like it doesn't update on the server side, because there's, you know, you can get server side, client side desyncs because of the way that Minecraft is designed. But because of the way this mod works, where the client is always the source of truth, in Minecraft the server is always the source of truth. So it's just trade-offs, right? There's pros and cons to both approaches. But yeah, because the client is the source of truth for the mod, I don't think there's any issue with using UDP, and it's faster, so I gotta figure out 480. Okay, what was my calculation here? So there's 35 pixels on either side, right? So it would be 480 minus 125 was half of the width. And then we just subtract another 20, I said? 335? Is that right? I feel like I used that number somewhere else. 335. And then this is 355, I think. 355. Let's try something like this. And then this is, I can just type it in here. What am I doing? So this is plus 125 and then plus another 20 for the extended hitbox. Okay. Let's see what that does. That's it. Let's rebuild Minecraft networking with UDP. Dude. I mean, look, the way that Minecraft works is I have some issues with it, but with the design decisions that they've made, I think TCP is the way to go. I don't think that Minecraft is one of the games that really benefits from additional speed. Okay, well, you can't really see the effect of this, but it looks like the hitboxes are at least working. Okay, maybe we should actually test whether or not it looks right. So let's go into AO1 here, and then let me boot up another instance. Yeah. Become host. Connect. Okay. So if I set the name opacity to full, whoops, that looks like a completely opaque name. What about if I make it huge? That looks like a huge name. Should I? Actually, let me do this. Let me go over here. There we go. Now I can see it on this. Except there's a giant snail in the way. Okay, there we go. Opacity of the other player. Yep, that looks right. Opacity of the name. Yeah. And then the scale of the name. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Multi-snailing. Yes. Okay. All of the sliders appear to work now. Now all we have to do is implement the color picker thing. I mean, we can move this around probably, but... Okay, so how in the world do, like, regular color pickers work? What are the three components that aren't RGB? It's like HV something. Color HV... HSV. Is that what it is? HSV. So yeah. So basically the idea is we would have a square where along the x-axis we could pick a hue, and then along the y-axis we could pick a brightness. And then, I don't know, saturation is also there too. But we could also have just three sliders, right? Color square free image download transparent png.exe. What? Why is it a .exe? Why am I executing a color square? Oh, I see. Like, you can't get... Oh, that's weird. How do color squares work? Is it just like hue and saturation are on two axes and then you have a slider for brightness or something? Is that how they work? That feels kind of lame. Why not just have two sliders at that point? You know? That's it? Okay. Because one could not have extensions enabled and could run it. Gotcha. Sliders are less handy. It's like one additional button press. Hmm. You visualize better with a square. Stupid humans and their eyeball limitations. Okay. Just trying to figure out how we actually want to, like, get to the image. So is it, so hue has to be one of the axes of the square. But is it saturation or brightness as the other one? Because I feel like in the MS Paint one, it was like, this looks like saturation to me. The y-axis here. If I had to guess. And then, yeah, they've got this bar at the side for brightness. Okay. But that, I mean, that's kind of annoying because then we would have to have 4 sliders, right? Just in case you wanted exact numbers. I'm not doing text input. That's definitely not happening. I don't know. This just feels so imprecise. What is... What is happening to the circle? I'm not doing anything. I'm just moving my mouse around. What is going on? What is happening? It just doesn't like being on all black, I guess. Oh, wait, no, now it works. What the heck? What have you done to Paint? Hang on, I've got a soundbite for this.
Fuck Microsoft!
Okay.
Fuck!
What the hell? Okay, what have you done to my Paint app? Okay. Anyway. Maybe it aligns with RGB values. Bro had that on speed dial. I've got a Stream Deck with a button right there for that. I got it recently because I realized that it was probably a good one to have. Yeah, I don't know. I just like, if you want exact values, then it kind of feels hard to get those exact values when you're just clicking on a square here. It doesn't help that these values here don't update in real time. That'd be kind of handy. The HSV button doesn't work. Okay, well, it worked on the 3rd time I clicked it. Oh, these values update properly. Oh, okay. Yeah, no, my mistake. I was just in the wrong mode, I guess. It wasn't... Yeah, no. My bad. The hell, man. Okay, yeah, so this is hue, y-axis is saturation. Is it illegal for me to just take a screenshot of this square and then use that? Should we use Should we just copy MS Paint? A Stream Deck with a single button? That'd be hilarious. You can keep the values for precise editing. Yes, do it. Nah, I'm gonna make my own. But what do you mean keep the values for precise editing? I'm not doing a text editor. I'm not like, it's not happening. Because like, how big is the square is going to be bigger than this is now in Paint, but that's still like not. I don't know. I feel like is it better to have like. So let's imagine that this whole canvas is just the bottom half of the customization menu, right? So the idea before was to have the colors, and this is not to scale, so this is going to look a little bit awkward, but you know, to have the color square over here. Well, that's not a line exactly. The color square over here, so you could like click anywhere in this square. And then you would have 3 sliders, right? And then you would have text just to the right that actually set its exact value. And these sliders would be RGB. But now we're saying we need a 4th one, potentially, because we've got hue on the x-axis, saturation on the y, and then, I don't know, this one could be like the brightness or something. And the reason that I would want these other 3 for the RGB is so that you can get a little bit more precise with the numbers if you wanted to. But that feels redundant. So I don't like that idea. Like, I like the square for picking a color. I don't know. Maybe it doesn't need to be precise. Maybe it's okay if it's just, if you just can't edit these. Why is there an X button here? What does this accomplish? What does the X button accomplish? It goes from being a value of 0 to nothing. If I wrote in 255, I can't even write 255 because it only allows 3 characters, despite the fact that 0255 is equivalent to 255. Hang on.
Fuck Microsoft! Okay. Fuck!
So, maybe we do just have the square and then 1 slider for brightness. What if right-click slider for input, for text input pop-up? You did a pop-up for the IP address. I don't know why this is so different. Because I don't like that. The only reason I did it that way is because it's way easier than making an in-game text editor. But it freezes the game. When that text input pops up, it freezes the game. Which means if you're connected and you take longer than 3 seconds to enter your input, the mod will assume that you've disconnected. Because your game is frozen, it's no longer sending packets. It looks like you've just disconnected. And I don't like that. So I want to avoid doing that as much as possible. Now, for things that you have to input text in, so like the IP address or your name, like those are things that I'm fine with having that pop up for, but I would very much like to minimize usage of that as much as possible. Why did Gates name his company after his... I don't know. You just... the hardest part of making something is coming up with a name for it. So, you know, he probably just looked down and was like, I've got an idea. I don't know. So maybe we do just do the square in one slider. Like this, right? Why do these numbers update all of a sudden? Why are they updating now? What's different? What did I change? Oh, because it was black. I'm so dumb because it was black the whole time. It was me that was the fool. No. Except it takes 2 clicks to make anything happen, so I'm not as much of a fool as Microsoft is, so you know. What is this for? What is this rectangle even? It's just to show the color that you've selected, I guess. Oh, it's doing the weird thing again where it's like teleporting the circle around. Oh, maybe not. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. We can make the square first, I think, probably. Make it like 5 seconds at least. I think 3 seconds is good. Official apology to MS. Okay, how big is a square gonna be at most? Maybe we should figure that out. So at most, it's gonna be half of the height that's available. Or like the full height that's available, which is half of the height of the screen. Or the window. Or whatever. But 1080, it automatically scales 1080 based on your window size, so we can just deal with the 1080 number. 1080 is the height, so 540 is half of that. So at most we're dealing with an image that's 540 pixels by 540 pixels. Is there a way I can generate that image myself? Is this going to be easy with Python? Python's got like everything. Python, pixel, edit. Maybe, I don't know. How to manipulate the pixel values of an image using Python. What package are we using here? Python image library pill. Apply formula of grayscale. Okay, this is dealing with RGB. I would much rather be dealing with HSV. Do they have an example for that? They have mode. Pixel map. Okay, so I assume you could potentially set mode to HSV if you wanted to. I don't know. Let's see what happens. I'm going to copy random code from the internet and run it. Is that a good idea? It's probably fine, right? Color picker.py. This seems trustworthy, right? There's no like delete system32 or anything. Okay, this is so many comments. My brain cannot parse it. Why is there an empty line here? Who writes code like this? Okay. This is so much easier to read. Okay. So we're importing pill. No, we're importing image from pill. Okay. We're creating a new image. Mode RGB. The mode to use for the image. See concept dash modes. How about I not see concept dash modes? That's such a weird thing. Mode. If mode equals P. Okay, it appears that I cannot do HSV. Is that not an option? Why is not an option? How else are you supposed to do it other than running random code from the internet? Exactly, yeah. What does this mean? What's a P image? Don't answer that. From buffer? Okay. Okay, first of all, close out of that. Give me a better result here. Wikibooks? What the? Oh, okay. What are we using here? What the heck? We're using CV2. Suppose you have a normal image name. Covered modified sea beach image. Okay, you made it look like that, sure. Suppose you have a normal image name. Burjabg. Convert the image? Why is that necessary? Can't you just read it as HSV? Maybe not. Maybe that's not how files are saved. Why does this look way more complicated than it needs to be? What the heck? Do you want the quote to have P image or P image? Look, I said what I said, alright? However you want to write that down is up to you. Yeah, I know. Okay, so it seems like CV2 is like somewhat of the standard. Okay, CV2. OpenCV Python. Maybe they've got some examples here. Thank you, Skvark, for maintaining this. Okay. Frequently asked questions. Do you have examples? Piece history. Okay, not exactly what I wanted. Project links, homepage. Yes, thank you. Tests. Usually these kind of projects have examples. Documentation. No, that's how to build it. I don't care how to build it. I want to use... okay. Scripts. Build and install. Okay, not what I'm looking for. Tests, perhaps? Sample video. Get build info? Okay. Test Pi. What if I view raw? Okay, it downloaded it. Not exactly what I was asking for. I didn't realize it was gonna download it. Okay. Oh, sorry, I forgot to turn on the bot. Give me a second. Stop. This is secret business. You're not allowed to see this. Okay, it should be connected now. OpenCV jump scare. Just grab an image, get the first and last values with a picker, and use the horizontal position of the mouse like a slider that interpolates through all the values in between. Yeah, but like I need the texture, right? Changing color spaces? I'm sorry. What? What does that even mean? What? Okay. OpenCV create new HSV image. I don't know, maybe that has something to do with it. Okay, this is the exact same thing that I just came across. You know what? Let me copy paste this in here. Wait, image.py? No, go away. Color picker. Here we go. Okay. Modify HSV image. So we give it an img path. Hue change, saturation change, value change. Nobody needs to worry about exceptions. We don't write unsafe code here. We do, we just don't want to be notified of it. Okay, again, we don't care. So we're reading an image. We convert the image. Original img. What the heck are we doing? Why do we need to wrap it around? Can hue only be a value from 0 to 180? Saturation and value are from 0 to 255? Is that right? I've never done this before. I didn't realize that hue had to be between 0 and 180. We can probably modify this though, right? Like, I don't care about that. Img path sea beach jibg. This doesn't need to be a function. We're just gonna call it directly. Whoop. Okay, I don't have an existing image. I'll need to create one. And then what in the world is this? HSV image. So the 0 represents the H, the 1 represents the S, right? And then NP clip. Dude, what is going on here? Oh, I see. Okay. Destroy all windows. My favorite function. What are we doing here? Because I want to be able to adjust all these values individually. Like the value, I assume that's brightness, right? So that's going to be an individual slider. So I don't need to worry about that. I just want to generate a texture. Okay, CSV, no, not CSV, open CV, Python, create new image. Let's see what that does. How to create an image. Yes. Create images using the zeros function. Okay, it gave me this code here. Well, height we said was what? 540? We'll do the maximum for now, and then hue change. So like, I don't want this, right? I want to be able to change, excuse me, each individual thing. It's like, what is this though? Yeah, I don't understand the syntax. If I just print HSV img, what does that do? I don't care about that. Why are you getting mad at me? Could not be resolved. Well, can you maybe try anyway? Color picker, picker.py. No module named CS food. CV2. Okay. What is it, like pip install or something? Pip install CV2. No, go away. Could not find a version that satisfies the requirement. Whoops. CV2. Okay. What is it actually called? It's this. OpenCV-Python. Okay, sure. Why not? Excuse me. Still says it can't be resolved. Can I like run it actually? Okay, I can run it. And it is... Dude, what is this syntax? Is it legit just a 3D array? No, that doesn't make any sense because there's 2 open brackets here, but 3 here. 3 closing brackets at the end. What is this thing, dude? What if I just say index 0? Okay, that's a 2D array. Also index 0. That's just a single array of what I assume to be HSV. Maybe. This is so weird. Why is it written like that? Can't possibly be this hard to find the texture on the interwebs. Well, I don't want to find the texture on the interwebs. Because then I have to worry about what kind of other stuff is in the file. Plus, I could just make it myself. If I can figure out why the heck this thing is a... Wait, what? Oh. Why did... Ugh. VS Code, why? Why did it show it like that? That's so dumb. Okay. So is it... It's splitting it up into rows and or columns? So if I were to say... if I said something to the effect of for row in range 540, HSV img index 0. 0, 0 was what? What did that print out? It printed out a single pixel. Row equals row index 0 is equal to row mod 180, right? And then I do this bit. I don't care about that. I just do this. And then how do I save it? What were they doing before here? cv2.imWrite. Apparently, without the semicolon, because we're in Python, obviously. Got our picker dot. Can we do a PNG? I hope we can. Okay, what happens? It doesn't like that. Bad argument in function I am right. Oh, I have to actually give it the data. I might be stupid. Okay, it did something. That is a completely black image. Okay. Not exactly what I was expecting. Wait, is it what I was expecting? Hang on, because if the brightness value is 0, it's just going to be black no matter what the hue is. Okay. So we need to set it all to, I don't know, 100 or something. So say HSV img index, yeah, 0 row, and then 2 is just equal to 100. Let's try that. Okay, the very top row is something other than black. Can I? The very top row of pixels is gray. Why? Dude, why is the data laid out like this? This is so weird. I mean, so it's a... I mean, I thought it was like x coordinate, y coordinate, and then hue saturation value, but if the saturation is 0, is that making it weird for some reason? It's like if this is 0, that is gray. Okay, so maybe let's make that like 100-ish. No, I forgot the keybind is different. Okay. Okay, what happens now? Oh, look at that. The top row is colorful. Heck yeah. Okay. Saturation should actually be like full, right? So this is supposed to be like 255. Stop doing that, please. Right, to get like Super color, or no. The value needs to be 100. Oh, why does it do 0 through 100 here? But yeah, both saturation and value should be maxed. We only want to change the hue. So these need to both be 255. And then this should be something different, but for now we'll keep it like that. It's not a fully transparent image, is it? No. Anyway, I gotta go for now. It was fun lurking while not saying anything. I appreciate the lurk. But yeah, have a good one. I appreciate you. Yo, we got pixels. We do got pixels. Oh my word, they're bright pixels now. Problem is, you can see that on the far left there is the red, and as we scroll over, oh look, there's another red, and there's another red, and there's another red. So we need to adjust it to the width of the image. So we actually want to say row divided by row divided by 540. That gives us basically a value from 0 to 1 across the width, which means we want to multiply that number by 180 because that's the max value that we can have. So this should give us a single cycle of all of the hues across the entire span. Yeah, so now we start with red, we scroll all the way over, and we end with red. Okay. Now we just got to do that for every single row. Which, I got it wrong. This should actually be column. And then we can do for row in range. That's not how you spell range. 540. We want to do all of this, except here instead of 0, it's this. We want to say row. Okay, this, we need to add more reds. This should give us the kind of image that we're looking for. Okay, so then we said the Y value needs to be what? It needs to be, actually, I wonder, so this looks a little bit pixelated, right? Like you can tell, especially right here. Maybe it's hard to see on stream because everything's so small, but you can see it's like a little bit rough. I wonder if that's because we're doing some kind of like integer math here. So what if I just said like 0.0? Is that going to make a difference? Not really. Okay, well, I tried. Anyway, we need to adjust what the saturation we said was the y-axis. Yeah, so this is going to be the row, and then we multiply that by 255 because that's the maximum value, and then again divide by 540. So this didn't really seem to change anything. So let's try this. Okay, this is a little bit upside down compared to what we wanted. So let's do a good old 540 minus row here. Let's see what happens. That looks about right. It's kind of hard to see the fade in at the very bottom, but that looks approximately right. It's fine, you got it. Yeah, it's fine. Now, I'm very curious as to why it appears that there's like, I don't know how, how easily can you see that on stream? It looks like there's this like diagonal thing going on here. There's almost this like cone of blue. Maybe that's just a limitation of human eyeballs again, but it's so bizarre. Let me try this thing again where I force it to not do integer math. No, it's still there. Okay, well, whatever. That seems fine, right? It's probably fine. Okay. Color Picker PNG is probably a perfectly acceptable name. Let's actually tack on the SPR. Oh my word, I forgot how many sprites there are. Let's rename this and say SPR underscore colorpicker.png. And then let's also, let's open this with GIMP. I assume FFmpeg can do, well, so I've compressed all of the current sprites using GIMP, and I don't actually know, like, I don't pay attention to what settings GIMP uses for compression, so I just use this, compress. It probably adds in some unnecessary metadata saying that it was edited with GIMP, but this is 97.5 kilobytes, and now it's only 9 kilobytes. So that should help. So we can throw that into mod sprites, paste, booyah. Does it need compression? Not necessarily, but why not? I haven't actually tested it. I don't know if it's any faster to not compress it versus compressing it, but I do know that if it's not compressed, then it takes longer to download the patch file. So that part, at least, I do know is impacted by compression. Or file size in general, I guess. Okay, now that we've got that, we don't need this Python file anymore. Perfect. Let's... What just happened? Okay, I'm going to copy the customization draw here. Customization draw, pop that in there, get rid of this GML underscore script thing. I think that's the only place that I use it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, this one I want to paste over other 10. Excuse me. And then I don't think I'd change the create, right? I did change the create, but I changed it a while ago. And I forgot to copy over the changes, apparently. So let's do that. Okay, so that was to do that. This needs to go back to being OBJ network. Work menager. That's all fine. Okay, all these were just number changes. Oh, I added the draw rectangle so that it drew in the middle. That horizontal line in the middle of the menu. Okay, all that stuff. Oh, I just added in this GML script thing. And then I added that. Okay. That should be all of it. So let's close out of this. Let's build the mod, and we'll see what happens. I'm gonna rename this to just old.win just in case something goes weird with the build. Build output. Okay. Now we wait. But I kind of want to do a similar thing here where I extend the hitbox to above and below so that you can get like exactly white if you want. Just trying to imagine, because it's going to be a lot smaller. It's going to be like, I don't know, this size-ish in-game. So like getting very precise selections might be a little bit tricky. Okay, it's done building. Give me this guy. Okay, custom. Get me in the draw. Okay, seems like all the changes we just made are still functional. Did not mean to accidentally press that. Okay. Perfect. Now, let's actually put it, we'll put it here. Draw, what is it? Sprite? Something or other. I'm gonna have to Google this because I don't remember the inputs to the function. Draw sprite. I did not spell that correctly, but it got through. How hard would it be to pick the color from the render, like a color picker tool in GIMP or something? I don't know. But from what I understand, if that's not already a built-in thing in GameMaker, then it wouldn't really be possible because you need access to like the data that the GPU is rendering from other programs, which you need somewhat low-level access to in order to get that information. As far as I understand, I could be wrong. Draw sprite X'd maybe, so I can get rotation color alpha. No, I don't need all that. Draw sprite stretched, an X, a Y, a width, and a height. I mean, that's kind of what I want. I don't necessarily care that it's stretched, but I just want to scale it. I mean, what am I using for the... Did I call it cursor? I call it mouse. Yeah, here we go. What am I using to draw the mouse sprite? Draw sprite ext. Okay. So that one takes... See, that one takes a rotation, a color, and an alpha, which I don't care about. So maybe I do just want the stretched one. Okay, we'll do this. Let me copy this. Okay. So the sprite is SPR color picker. Sub image is 0 because it's not an animated thing. The X and the Y. So for now, let's not add any padding. So it's going to be at 540 because it's half the height. And then the, oh wait, that's X. So it's going to be half of 960. 960 on 2. I don't care to do the math in my head. And then the Y value is the 540. And then the width is this 960 on 2. Height is 540. Okay. Let's see what happens. If I remember correctly, GameMaker can mess with render stuff. Let me see. GML color picker. Game maker in-game color picker. GM color picker is a simple tool to make working with colors in GML faster and easier. Check out the docs. Docs not found. Color and alpha. Get pixel? With this function, you can get the color value of any pixel that is being drawn to the current render target. This means that the results will depend on the event in which the function is called and also the target surface. Okay, so this looks like it's a color picker, but only based on the things that the game is rendering. It does not return alpha values. You should use draw get pixel ext. Okay, so this is clearly not what I'm looking for. Go back. With this function, you can get the full AGBR 32-bit value of any pixel that is being drawn to the current render target. Yeah, so it's limited to the current render target. Is there anything else here? Doesn't look like it. GPU control. Stencil buffer. I mean, I assume this all has to do with the game rendering it, or rendering stuff. Doesn't seem like it has anything to do with picking things other than what the game is rendering. It could be somewhere, I'm just not finding it. Okay, but there we go. There's our texture rendered. It is not a square. It is a rectangle. And for some reason, there is a single pixel visible on the right side of the gray background. Not a fan, but we're going to be adding padding anyways, so nobody's going to notice a single pixel. It'll be fine. How much padding do we want? Let's try like 50 pixels maybe. So the X, we want to add 50. The Y, we also want to add 50. The width, we want to subtract 100. And the height, we want to subtract 100. Let's see what that looks like. And then we can worry about making it a square as soon as we get the padding right. Okay. That doesn't look too bad. So that gives us a little bit more room to like, so we can extend the hitbox to like above here. So if, you know, you can drag your mouse along here and it'll still like snap to the top, basically. Same thing with the bottom and the left and the right. And then I don't know, we just have like one slider and then the buttons. Seems okay. All right, so it's taller than it is wide, right? Yeah, 440 compared to 380. So let's just make this 380 as well. Actually, what is it? What was it? I just said it was 440. So we're reducing it by 60? So if we're subtracting 60 from the height, we want to add 30 to the Y value here. Just to make sure it's still centered in the correct location. So now it should appear as a square in the correct location. Hopefully. That looks pretty square-like to me. I don't know about you, but that definitely looks like a square. Okay. You can still technically tell that it's pixelated, but I feel like unless we render a significantly larger image, which we really don't need to, but if we did, then we probably could get rid of that. I don't know. What do we think? Is this a good location for it? Should we make it bigger? It's fine. It's good. All right. Sounds like a plan. So, thank you for the hydrate. Okay. Now that we've got this, I think it's going to be easier to test if we first set up the buttons for selecting which element of the snail we're editing. Because once we have that, then we can actually test to see whether our hitbox math is going to work. And if not, we can change the math. It's not like it's a hit or miss thing. Okay. So yeah, let's make those buttons. How do we want to do that though? Because now we've got all of this space and we only need a single slider for the brightness or value or whatever the kids are calling it. So we've got quite a bit of space. We need 5 buttons plus an edit name button. So I was thinking like having the word player like up in the top left here, and then we could have edit name to the right next to it, and then we'd have this area in between for the 5 buttons, which maybe, you know what, let me go over here. So yeah, so we have the one slider here. Oh, we need to still like display the RGB values probably. I mean, now that we're using HSV, question for you guys. Now that we're using HSV, do we want to display the RGB values of the color or the HSV values of the color? Or maybe we have enough space to display both. That could be a thing too. Make slider vertical, that's also a good idea. RGB, I think. Okay, so we're saying vertical slider. That's not a vertical line. That's a vertical enough. It's also not black, so I like my lines black. Okay, there's our slider. So we've got the slider. And then we're saying buttons to the left. So like we line the buttons up vertically. Holy. So like imagine like this kind of a thing. Obviously they wouldn't be exactly touching, but you know, something like this maybe. Okay, these are not spaced correctly, but you get the idea. Yes, but in a way that uses all the space. What do we need? We need name, outline, body color. Not body color, body shell, eye. I mean, we do have, so we could put the vertical slider almost like directly in the middle here, which leaves us with still quite a bit of room. But like I was saying, my idea was to have like the word player here, right, to indicate that this is the player section of the menu. We'd have the edit name button here, which doesn't need to have the words edit name on it. We could just make like a little pencil icon, and then that should be clear. And then we'd have like 3 buttons here and 2 buttons underneath. Those would be like the selected categories. So like the name, the eye, the shell, the outline, and whatever the other one is. And then down here we could display the RGB values. This might even, depending on how big we make the buttons, we might have enough room to display both the RGB and the HSV. We could just make the text quite a bit smaller just to force it to fit, but I don't know. What do you think? Does this layout make sense? Sure. Okay. I feel like that's okay. I feel like that makes sense, right? Probably. All right, let's get to gutting. So draw color grid. Give me the custom. Draw color grid is a function that I make here because it was easy to draw all the colors like this. And then we don't actually need any of these, except we do want to keep the defaults. So I do want to say like, I mean the default name color is just white, right? So I don't really need to keep track of that, I don't think. But I do want default outline color, and then that's just going to be the first thing in this array. And then default body color. Again, first thing in this array. Default shell color. As far as I know, these values aren't stored anywhere else. They could be, though. No harm in storing them again. Okay. I'm gonna need to sleep now if I want to function tomorrow. You've earned your $5 this month. Make sure to hit the reset button. That's a good call. Thank you for that. But yeah, get some sleep. Have a good night. I appreciate you being here. Maybe, yeah, so maybe if we put like the RGB, HSV, and then like a reset button here, maybe? I don't know. That might be too close to the slider, though. Yeah, so let's flip this actually. Let's make like RGB, HSV, and then the reset button can be like all the way in the bottom corner. Minimize the chance that it gets clicked accidentally. I think I like that. Again, might be kind of tricky to see, to display all the values, but it'll be fine. Okay. So we got rid of all the color grids, so we don't need any of them here. I suppose the first thing we can do is put the word player where we want it. So it's going to be kind of in the top left corner of that bottom section. So we're going to say its X value is going to be like 50 for now. Y value is going to be the height, so like 540, and then plus an additional 50 just to give it a little bit of padding. And let's see where that goes. Hopefully I didn't forget something and it crashes. Oh, I can close out of this one though. There we go. Okay, didn't crash. Oh, that's right. The X and Y are at the center of the word, not the top left, because I changed that. Yeah, that's fine. We can just move it over a little bit. We'll say like 100 ish. This one doesn't need to be exact because it's got kind of a different layout style compared to the other sections. I do also want to add like a kind of like a to-do text. So like right now there's still stuff in this area that we're currently moving out to under here, but I do want to put like a coming in the future thing, which will be where you select your hat if you want it. Oh, we could add the hat to the preview too. That'd be sick. Anyway, we need to move it over yet again. Probably we can just align it with whatever this is. So what is this? 160? We'll try that. Yeah, and then we don't need this for now. Yeah, I'll keep it. Because this basically just determines whether or not the mouse is hovering over that button. Which I'm still going to need in the future. I'm pretty sure I started the game. Why is it not popping up? Maybe I didn't? I thought I did. I'm going crazy. Probably. Okay. Yeah, that seems fine. It maybe looks a little bit awkward because of the size of this square. But maybe that's okay. I'm also wondering if we want to like offset the colors here, because we kind of split red in half almost. Do you see that? Like half of red is on the far left side and the other half is on the far right side. So I wonder if we want to like split it like here instead. So just like shift it over a little bit. I did unfortunately get rid of the script that generates this, so maybe maybe we could mess with that in the future. Anyway, I think this is fine. And then we just want to put like a little, you know what? We could put the entire edit name button over here. Might be a little bit close. I don't really want to display the actual name that the player chose, right? Because you could put, you know, whatever in here, and this text is still going to be player. I'm just afraid that if somebody wants to, like, you know, have the selected color be in the very top left, they're gonna like put their mouse over here, let go, and then it's gonna accidentally click the edit name button. Oh, the slider also needs to go like right next to this. That's right. Since there's more vertical space here, or like, because this needs to be a square and there's like more area on the top and bottom, I wonder if I can move this up and have the slider underneath it. It would be a lot easier because I've already got the code for a horizontal slider. Then I can just like, for now I can just yeet the F2 to close text. And that would give me quite a bit more space under here. So let's maybe try that. Where did I put it? This one. So let's move it up. Sorry, it would be minus. Let's move it up like 50-ish and see what happens, and then we can just temporarily get rid of F2 to close, just to make it easier to see what's going on. And I'm gonna increase the scale of the preview as well. Actually, maybe I should have kept the scale of the preview. Just because if there are enough people on the leaderboard, then it might like overlap this little preview thing. Should probably also not make it relative to the bottom right corner, and I should just put it in like the center of this right half of the screen, and then like right at the bottom maybe. I feel like that would make more sense. Anyway, okay, let's yeah, so that should be plenty of space for a slider. I don't actually remember how much padding I put over here on the right side. Let's add 10 to this, subtract 10 from that. Or no, we would need to add 10 as well. So, yeah. Okay, let's see what happens there. Okay, the padding is still a little bit different. I feel like the area up here compared to the area over here. I mean, okay, so what is that padding though? So it's 540. Oh, that's X. Oh, right. Okay, so it's 960 because that's the width of the whole menu, and then we subtract the width of the image, which is currently 380. And then I think we also subtract 540 because that's the current. Okay. Yeah, so we've got a spacing of 40 pixels on the right side of the image. So now how much space is up top? So it basically 540 minus 580. So that's also 40. Okay, so it is actually the exact same spacing. It looked weird for me, I feel like. Let me look at it again. But I guess it's the same. Unless I did my math wrong. Which is always possible. But like the area... Oh, yeah, because this line has thickness. Like the very center of this line is the middle. But because it's slightly thick, it actually gets... Okay, yeah. So it's in the right spot. It's just because this line in the middle has thickness that it looks weird. Which that line is probably not going to be there in the future, so we don't have to worry about that. But okay, so we're going to put the slider down here, the text, the reset button, and then the 5 buttons for changing the category, and then the edit name button can just go here. Okay. So let's add the edit name button. Or I guess we'll just move it, right? We'll just move it. Move it. Okay, so for the X value, we want it to be... I don't know. This one can be guessed, I think, probably. We'll just say 300 for now. Because it's got to be to the right of the player, but I don't know how far. And then the Y value is going to be the same Y value as the player minus, I don't know, we'll say 30-ish. And then the other X value, we can say like 400, and then again 590 plus 30. And let's just see where that shows up. So I only changed the rectangle location, not the text. But let's just see where that rectangle shows up. Okay. I like the height of the button, and I like the X1 value. Let's make it a little bit wider, I think. I think we can do that. So I'll edit this and say, how much wider? Like twice as wide, maybe? Say 500. And then while we're at it, we might as well move the name. Excuse me. So we'll put it at 400, and then a Y value of, I can't be bothered to do the math. Whatever 560 plus 620 divided by 2 is. 590 apparently, all right. That makes sense. It's 30 above 560 and 30 below 620. That looks pretty good. I mean, I don't have the exact like spacing numbers, but that looks pretty decent to me. Again, only kind of worried about like if the cursor is over here, like if they're trying to click into the box and they put their cursor up here, they might accidentally like hover over the edit name button, but like I don't know, I feel like there's enough space there. Actually, so there's 40 pixels between this. We should measure. So this, where's that sprite? This sprite is at 540 is the top left corner. So we want 40 pixels between that. So this actually should be 80. So this should be, no. This rectangle, the X value, oh wait, 500, yeah. Yeah, that's right. That's exactly 40, okay. Perfect. Okay, and then we can update these values as well. So if it's between 300 and 500, and the Y value is between 560 and 620. So now it should detect when our mouse is hovered over the button and properly change the color. It's not going to properly detect when we click on it, but that should be okay. Yep, looks like it works. So it knows when we're hovering over it. The hitbox is still like up here, yeah. But that at least works. So now let's actually update the hitbox, which should be this guy. Yeah, so these numbers should be effectively identical to these ones. I don't know why I checked the X or the Y value first. That's kind of weird. But, okay. Let's try that. And then I can just like yeet all of these, which is kind of unfortunate that I went through all the effort to implement all of that, but okay, so if I click near the button, it doesn't work, but if I click directly on the button, now it does. Perfect. Okay, but yeah, all of this stuff can go away because this was for all of the color grids that we no longer need because we've got the color picker. Okay. So we moved the player text, we move the edit name. So now we need to have like a selected category, basically. So let's actually make a variable here that says selected color category. And that's just gonna be I mean, I guess it's just gonna be a number. Right, we can set it to -1 by default. Then we could just have like 1 represent the outline color, or maybe we can, yeah, we'll start it being 0. And then 1 represents the outline color, 2 is the body color, 3 is shell, 4 is eye. Right. So that way we know like which button to properly render, but we're gonna need basically a bunch of these. So after the edit name text, we're gonna need name color, outline, body, shell, eye. Right. And then, oh, I should have copied over the text as well. Okay. But these aren't actually going to need to be the entire phrase. This can just be like name instead of name color. And this can be outline. And this can be body. Shell and eye. Okay, then I can get rid of all these because none of those values are relevant anymore. I'm going to need to calculate all of this other stuff by hand. So I do still want this button layout. Let's see, does this actually, oh wait, I forgot to save it. Whoops. Okay, the first one that pops up is not the one that we want. Where's the second one? There it is. Okay. Right, because it's drawing the same rectangle on top of it. But okay, yeah. Okay. So yeah, I want 3 buttons, and then underneath 2 buttons, and then yeah, there should be plenty of room for all the other stuff that I wanted to add. Excuse me. But basically the idea, so we're gonna like vertically split this in half, right? So then we've got like sort of this area to play with. We basically want to split that into 3 sections. And then we can figure out like where we want to put all the buttons. So, right, we've got this. Our slider is now actually down here, below the square, but you know the square's too big on this drawing. So this vertical line is going to act as our center line. So these 3 buttons we actually want to be spaced out so they're not going to touch each other. But I want to know like the top left coordinate for like one of these buttons, right? So if we split up this horizontal space into 3, we're gonna end up with, let's just start with like this button here. Yeah, okay, so here's the rectangle for it. So our reference point is going to be that center line, which is currently the width is what, 960, I think. Yeah, the whole width of the menu is 960. We want to divide that by 2, and then we want to take that and we want to divide it by 3, and that'll give us the width of each of the sections. So we actually, for this first one, we actually don't need that value, now that I think about it, because we're just gonna, yeah, we're just gonna multiply that value by 0 anyway. So we just need to figure out the padding, which I think like 10. We could start with 10, so this will be an x of 10, a y of, I don't know, we can say like 620-ish. We can adjust that later. The x2, so now we're actually going to need the width from before. So that was what, 960 divided by 2, all of that divided by 3 is the width of an entire section, but the width of the button itself is going to be the width of the whole section minus 20, right? Because 10 pixels on each side. So we're going to subtract 20 from that. So that should be the X value of the right side of the rectangle that we need to draw. And then the other Y value, I don't know, we'll just make it like 50 pixels tall for now, so 670. Okay, let's see where that ends up. This is what I pay you $0 for. That's true. I pay for all of my chatters to be here. I give them a paycheck of a whole $2. Just kidding, it's not $2, it's $0. Does that look like it takes up enough space? I feel like it's too small. I feel like it's too small. Let's try doing that same math with the other buttons and see if it lines up properly. So for this one, we're going to need that 960 on 2 on 3 number. Except that's going to be the offset of the first X value. So then we're actually just going to need to take that plus 10 for the padding. You thought you were getting paid. Okay, and then the X value of the other one is basically 2 of these. 2 of these, and then minus 20. And then the Y values should be the same. 620 and 670. Believe it or not, I do not pay for my chatters to be here. They, for some reason, just enjoy it. Couldn't tell you why, but, you know. Hey, if somebody likes being here, all the power to you. I did run the game, didn't I? Maybe I didn't. I keep forgetting whether or not I did. Okay, but that was the outline. That's the body. Interesting. Okay. Okay, maybe that is the right spacing. Huh. It just looks weird. Yeah, especially because it's like the spacing to the edge doesn't make sense. So maybe I should actually do like let's actually start this at 20, right? But then isn't the one in the middle gonna be? Hang on. Okay, let's where's my eraser? How big is my eraser? Make it bigger. Big eraser. Okay. Now my cursor is tiny. 3 pixels? Sure. Okay. So like I said, I want to take this space here and I want to split it into 3 equal sections like this. Except I'm also going to want on either side some space for padding. And some space for padding here. Except the trick is that the distance between these 2 padding lines needs to be the exact same as the distance from the edge of the screen to this first padding line. So maybe that's like a more... Yeah. So then I need to figure out like the actual width in between those. So let's say I want a padding of 20, right? So then we're going to basically have our full width, which is this 960 number. 960. And then we need to... So we're going to have four sections of each of these spacing numbers, right? One for the left of the side of the screen, between the first and second buttons, between the second and third buttons, and then between the third button and the right side. So we're going to have 4 instances of these spacing, which I said was going to be 20 pixels. So we're going to subtract 420. We are going to, you know what, sorry, it's going to be easier if I just have it over here. We subtract each of those spacing, and then we want to take that whole number and divide it by 3, right? Because we've got 3 sections that need to be in between all of that. But that is not a round number. It is 293.3 repeating. Okay. I mean, we can still use that value. It's just weird. So then this is going to start at 20. The Y values are fine for now. And then it's going to be 20 plus... Yeah. It's going to be 20 plus this 293.33333. 293.33. We'll just say, for example. And then for this one, it's going to be whatever this comes out to be, plus an additional spacing, so plus 20. And then it's going to end at whatever this value is. Plus an additional one of these. And then the body is going to be this one plus 20. And then that whole thing plus another one of these. And I think that's the right math. So this is actually just going to be 940. 0.66. You know what? We'll make that 0.67. Then we can make this one 0.67 as well. Okay. Let's see what that looks like. Where does that put everything? Hopefully it makes somewhat sense. I'm actually questioning whether or not that actually works like that. I think, yeah, I miscalculated. Because it needs to be divided by 2. I'm dumb. Okay. It needs to be 960 divided by 2. And then you subtract 4 times 20 and divide that whole thing by 3. So it's 133.3333333. So here we have 20. We have 133.33 plus... Yeah, so it's that initial 20, and then we add 133.33. Then we take that value down here. We add another spacing. And then we take that whole thing with the spacing. And then we add another 133.33. And then we take that whole value. And then we add another spacing. With the spacing, and then we add another 133.33. Okay, so this is 460. This becomes 0.67. This becomes 0.67. Okay. Let's see where that puts us. I don't think the decimals actually matter a whole lot. I don't know, maybe it does. I don't know what kind of calculations are done. Don't know whether it's like pixel specific or not. Where's my third button? I can't help but notice it's not there. Did I put it in the wrong spot? 620. I think I did, yeah. 670. Okay. I think I just forgot to adjust the Y value. Let's see. I did, but that still doesn't look right. Maybe it does actually. It looks right. But only if we were to like actually add in a vertical line here. But because this box doesn't actually like reach the vertical. That's bizarre though. Why did I mean, so this spacing is 40, right? So shouldn't the X value of that whole sprite be like 960 on 2 plus 40? Like 520. That's gonna adjust the spacing on the right side though, right? So we're gonna need to adjust both the width and height, I think. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, let's maybe up the spacing to 50. So we'll increase this to 30. That can go to 590. And then what is the width need to be? So it's gonna be 960 on 2. And then whoops. We take that value. Do we subtract 530? Oh yeah. Wait, what? Yeah. No, that makes sense, probably. 540. Yeah. Okay. So we've got 960 on 2. And we just want to subtract 100, right? So 380. That was the number I had before. Why does it look weird? Am I losing my mind? I was hoping to hang on to it for a little bit longer, but I may have lost it already. No, that actually does look right. Wait, does it? What? That doesn't make any sense. Because the middle line is 540, which means if I put the y value at 590, that should give me a vertical spacing of 50, right? So like the distance between here and here should be 50. But that's like clearly a lot smaller than the distance from here to here. But it should be 960 on 2, which is 480, right? 530 minus 480 is 50. So there's 50 pixels of spacing between the center, the very center vertically, and the left edge of this. There should also be 50 pixels between this middle line at the top. And then if you account for 50 pixels on both the left and right, then the whole width of this thing should be 380. Right? We subtract 100 from both sides. Or 50 from both sides. What am I doing wrong? Why does it look so much different? I am lost. I don't know why my math is wrong here. Can I just like open up a new tab? Like I don't want to have to save this and reopen it. I just want a new tab. No. Okay, I don't think it's gonna let me do that. It is 960, right? Like, yeah, 960 on 2 is 480. You subtract 50 pixels from both the left and right, and you get a width of 380. So why does it not look right? $590. It would be 540 plus 50, which is 590. I'm so confused. Why does it look like that? I didn't forget to save it, did I? I did forget to save it. Okay, that looks a lot better. Well, okay, well, found the problem. Ugh. Okay. In that case, I think what we're gonna do is actually, instead of measuring from the center line, we're gonna measure from the edge of the box. So I think that's gonna be better. And then I'm gonna reduce the spacing to 10. No, we actually need to make the spacing 50. I don't know. Let's just see what it looks like. Okay. So here, I need to start at 50. I don't actually know how wide it's going to be. But it's going to be 960 on 2 plus 50. So 530 total. Right? No, just 960 on 2. And then we need to subtract. So we would have 1, 2, 3 lots of 50. And then divided by 3. So that is an actual decent number. It's what, 110? Okay. So take 50 plus 110. These are going to be very short buttons, it seems like. Plus an additional 50. This plus 50 plus 110, because they're only 110 pixels wide. Plus 50. Plus 50 plus 110. Okay, let's see what happens here. Let's see if this looks approximately correct. It does look approximately correct. It's just that the buttons are pretty short. But I like the spacing. So maybe we should just make those the shortest words. Which is what? Body, shell, I. There's also name, but it's just not like in this list here. But outline is probably going to have to be one of the ones. Yeah, name is 4 letters. So it could be name, body, and I. For these ones. Because those are the shortest words. And then outline and shell could be the 2 underneath. Because those buttons can be larger. Okay. So first things first, let's lower them down a little bit. Let's make it like 650 and 700. Something like that. And then it's gonna get a little bit weird because of the order that I've like put the text in. But so this is gonna be whatever 50 plus 160 on 2 is, and then the y is gonna be 650 plus 700 on 2. And then, okay, so these last ones are going to be shell and outline. So you know what? I'll just swap I and outline. That should work. And then, so the y value is going to be the same for all of these. The x value, I don't know off the top of my head, so I'm just going to do the math. 210 plus 320 on 2. This one's going to be 370 plus 480 on 2. Okay, let's see what happens. Okay, very nice. I think that works. I think the font size works pretty well in terms of the spacing too. And then yeah, this button I want to shrink a little bit. We will make this the edit name button. Oh, that's the Y. Whoops. Where does that end? 480. Body, yeah, okay. 480. Let's try that. Let's see what happens. Okay, because I'm still drawing the other ones. Okay, let's figure out where we should put these other ones. How much spacing is there between the word player? 590 versus 675? It's almost 100. So you know what? Let's just make it 100, and then yeah, we'll just make it 100, and then we can see where to actually put it later. Okay, and the X value. So yeah, this one, we want larger buttons in general, but it's still going to be, we're still going to need spacing of, I don't know, let's make it like 100 maybe? Say 100. And then I don't know exactly how wide it needs to be. Let me try and figure it out. So it's 960 on 2. So we're gonna have so the total width is this 960 on 2 plus 50, and then we want to take that and subtract 300 from it, and then take that number and divide it by 2. Gives us 115. Only very slightly wider. So let's maybe choose 70, 75. So if I say 75 times 3 in this. Okay. Maybe just 70. 160. Sounds like an okay number. Okay. 160 with a spacing of 70. So this is going to be 70. This is going to be 70 plus 160. Then this is going to be that plus another 70. And this is going to be that plus 70 plus another 160. Okay. And then for the y values here, we said just plus 100. This would be 750 and 800. 800, 750. Whoop. Okay. Now we should have the other 2 buttons underneath the 3 buttons that we just placed. If I did my math right. Looks like that is the case. And the spacing looks correct between the buttons. Obviously this text is not in the right spot, but everything else looks okay. Okay. So then this word shell needs to appear between 70 and 230. And then the word outline needs to appear between 300 and 460. Okay. Let's check this out. That looks about right. I wonder if I just want to make the spacing in between these two the same, right? So what if I said, let's take that center line, so 960 on 2, and we're adding to that one, or we're adding to that just 50. And then I want to divide that number by 2. Whoops. Divide that by 2. It's 265. So that's the middle line. 265, and then I just want to subtract and add 25 from that. So shell, this number is what? This 265. 265 minus 25. And then this one is this number, 265 plus 25. Right. Let's see what that looks like. So that way the space in between the buttons on the bottom is the same as the spacing between the buttons on the top. Oh, click into the window, please. Yeah, so like this spacing here is the same as this spacing here. feel like that definitely looks better. Yeah, the word outline and shell need to be adjusted. But I do want to make the vertical space a little bit smaller as well between those two rows. So this is now 70 plus 240. And this is 290 plus 460. Okay. And then I said I wanted to move these up a bit. That's at 700, that's 675. Let's try like I don't know, 750 and 750. Oh, hang on. Okay, let's try 725 and then 775. For these guys, and then this is going to be 750. 750, 775, and 725. Okay, and then this edit name X value also needs to be adjusted to what, 440? No, some other value, I don't know. 300 plus 480 on 2. Okay. Let's see where all the stuff gets put now. Okay, that looks a little bit better. So now this edit name text is centered in that button. All of these are good. I think I want to make this edit name button the same height as all this other stuff, which is a height of 50, I think. So this... It's 30 away from 590. So just make this 615 and 565. Should be right. Looks about right. Okay. I gotta update the hitbox for the highlighting because it currently only checks this button to highlight all of them. But yeah, we've got plenty of space down here to display both the RGB, the HSV, and have a button for resetting all of the colors. Which I feel like I want to move like all of these buttons down a little bit, even more. So let's do that. Okay, so I'll start here. We'll just add 50 maybe. It's a good place to start. Plus 50, plus 50, 50, 50, 50. And then if that looks decent, then I can update the hitboxes. Okay, that's maybe a little bit too far. don't know, maybe it's fine. I feel like though I want the buttons to be bigger though. I'm also curious what it looks like without this center line. Where am I drawing that center line? Is it this? I think. Because I don't think I want that center line in the final version of this menu. So I'm kind of curious what it looks like without it. Yeah, it's not too bad. Yeah, I kind of wonder if it's worth it to make these buttons a lot larger and make the space between them a lot smaller. Because right now it's 50, but I wonder if I make that like 10. If that would be better. But I would have to redo like all of my math. So I kind of don't want to do that right now. I feel like we made some decent progress. We created this texture ourselves from scratch, and we at least got to place the word player and this edit name button. Again, all of the, well, I guess that hitbox is properly updated, but we got to implement all of this stuff. So we can do that. I'll probably do that off stream actually, because it's Sunday. So I'll probably do that during the week, which I likely will not have energy to stream while I'm doing that. So anyway, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you being here. Hope you have a good one. Peace. See you later.